All right, 3, 2, representing functions. So let me unfreeze that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so representing functions, we had graphs, we had kind of like an input-output table, and then we had mapping. All right, I'm really going to focus on tables because that's typically how you see it. Okay? So this is kind of what everything looks like for you guys. Okay? So example 1 says the equation that represents the relationship between the number of hours a student studies for a test and the student's test score is represented by y equals 5x plus 15. And it wants us to create a table and a set of ordered pairs that represents the situation. Now, this is where I kind of like can allow you to use technology. So do you have a graphing calculator? If you do, get it out, okay? And I'll kind of walk you through how to do this. If you don't, you can use your brain or just a simple calculator. A calculator?
No. Wow.
Unreal, Hopi. And that's going on YouTube. And everybody who watches my videos are going to know that you're unprepared. And they're going to judge you, maybe silently or publicly through the comments. And let me tell you, that might be the first comment on the video. I've never gotten a comment. I have like 100 videos, 100 total. There's like 200 videos on my YouTube channel. I got like 100 views.
Oh, that's good.
I know. It's like batting 50%. All right. So you lied to me. Now everybody knows you're a liar. Unreal.
Keep it coming,
Unreal. Unreal. All right.
All right, now? No, it's not on my list. If I just scroll a little bit, no, are we hanging now? Yeah. All right, well, I'm still coming.
Okay, let me try to make this. Yep, there we go. All right. There's that. And then there's this. Okay. All right, so when you turn on your calculator, it looks like this. Okay, just the blinking light. Those of you at home can see what I'm pushing. If you get lost in the bottom right where it says clear second mode, clear, you can follow along. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this using technology first, all right, because I want to save you time rather than cost you time on a test. So if we look back at this equation, does everybody see how this is y equals 15x or 5x plus 15? Does everybody see that? Does everybody see how it's in y equals? Whenever an equation's in y equals, you can plug it into your calculator. So in order to do this, you hit the y equals button. It's in the top left. All right. And now my screen looks like this. And I had some stuff in here because I was working yesterday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in who came in. Do you know? Who? No? Oh, okay. Sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type 5x plus 15 into this equation. So everybody do 5. Now this is important. This x next to my green button. Okay, because that's the variable button, plus 15. And now what I can do is I can create a graph, okay? So I could graph it and I could see that, Liam, this is a function, right? It would pass the vertical line test. I could see that very quickly. But more importantly, I can create a table, okay? Now, since we're talking about test scores and time, we're not going to be looking at the negative aspect of it. I'm just going to be looking at the positive. And if you look at this, this is my table. Now, let's see how this corresponds to this. Okay, so I pushed the, let me see your calculator. Push the blue button and then graph in the upper right.
Thank you.
Okay? So now, how does this correspond to this? Well, the input is going to be your hour study. And let's face it, Jordan, since you're back in effect, okay, you probably start out with studying 0 hours, 1, 2, and 3. You probably don't spend much more than 3 hours studying for a test, right? No, of course not. Who would? That's ridiculous. So the number of hours studied, these are my X values. Now my test score is going to be my Y values. Now, what I can do to get these Y values very quickly is just look at my table. Notice 0 is going to correspond to 15, 1 would correspond to 20, 2 would correspond to 25, and 3 to 30. So I would just plug that in. 15, 20, 25, 30. Not very good test book, right? This test is probably for like the bar exam, where you have to spend many, many hours studying, not just. Do you guys see how I created that table? Now, how could I do it if I didn't have the calculator? Okay. Now, without a calculator, this is what I do. It's very simple. Okay. Start out. That's X. And I'm going to pick my points. I typically start out with 0, 1, 2, 3. I kind of just pick those anyway. They're small, they're easy numbers, they give me an idea of what's going on. My test score is still going to be Y, but here's the difference. Your calculator spit out numbers for you, right? Here's what it's actually doing. It's actually doing 5 times 0 plus 15. And that equals 15. And then it's going to do 5 times 1 plus 15. Then it does 5 times 2 plus 15. And finally, it does 5 times 3 plus 15. And it gets you the 20, the 25, and the 30. Do you guys see the usefulness of the calculator? Does it make sense? But do you see, because I noticed you don't have a calculator, that's fine. Do you see how to do it without it? We all okay with that? This is an input-output table, and it's very useful. All right, now let's talk about creating a mapping. So mapping is a diagram that visually shows the relationship between the domain and the range, okay? So as the last one had like 0 went to 15. This is going to be like more of a drawing. So how do I do it? You ready for this? These X values go in your domain, your kind of X oval. So I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now my range, okay? My range, and I'm just going to jumble it up a little bit so you can see kind of what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to put them backwards, like 30, 20, and 10. Do you guys see how I kind of did that? I just kind of randomly wrote them down for you, okay? Because I just want you to see how to do it when it's not in order. But all you do is this. You look at your table. 1 goes to what number? 10. So you just draw an arrow to the 10. Where does 2 go, Jordan? AJ, where does 3 go? 30. And Angela, where does 4 go? Do you guys see how I just draw arrows to where it goes? It doesn't matter the order. I just draw the arrows. All right. So it says one of the most common ways, and the way I like it the most, is to graph a function on a coordinate plane. So some graphs have discrete, while others have continuous. So remember, discrete is the disjoint ones, and continuous is the smooth curves. Okay. So discrete domains are a set of input values that consist only of certain numbers in an interval. All right. For example, they just gave you a number line, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of think of like if we as a class are going somewhere, right? I would need to get certain vans. I couldn't get like half a van. So it's either I have one van or I have two vans. I can't have like 1.5 vans. And continuous is a smooth line. Okay, see how it encompasses every number? So here's how we kind of do this. Now, it says the function y equals -3x plus 12 represents the amount of fluid ounces of juice remaining in a bottle after you take a sip. And it says identify the independent and dependent variables. And then it says I need to graph it. All right. Destiny, you ready for this? Ready? No? Oh boy. Oh boy. How about now? All right. Here we go. So first off, independent variable. This is the one that kind of controls the other one, okay? If we look up here, it tells me what it is. It says this function represents the amount y in fluid ounces of the juice remaining in a bottle after you take X gulps. Independent from that first slide, I believe on Monday, was associated with the letter X. So independent variable is gulps. And dependent is, I'm just going to put ounces. OZ. Now, how do I create a graph for this? Well, I kind of need to create a table first. So everybody create a table. You're going to have two columns. The first column is going to be your X. The second column is going to be Y. And notice, Hopi, it tells me what my domain is. Do you see that? So those numbers go right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now there's two ways you could do this. The first way, you could use your graphing calculator, and that's my recommendation. And I know Drew is already doing that. All right. Nate, are you doing it using graphing calculator?
No.
What's that?
No, I don't have one.
Oh, might want to get one. Might be helpful.
Okay.
But here's how we do it if we don't have it. Oh, that's hot. Here's what we do. We are going to take this number 0, and we're going to plug it into our equation, which is -3x plus 12. So I'm going to do -3 times 0 plus 12. And that's going to give me 12. Then I'm going to do -3 times 1 plus 12. And that gives me 9. Then I do for 2, -3 times 2 plus 12. That gives me 6. And then, if you're on your A game, Delaney, what do you see happening here? 12, 9, 6. Take a guess at what the next number would be, Delaney.
3.
3. Wow, that was good. Very good. It is 3. Now, how do you know it's 3? Well, 1, there's a pattern. When we use sequential numbers, there's going to be a pattern. It's going down by 3s. Well, that makes sense because notice, oh, there we go. That's -3. Corresponds to what this is going down by. So the next one would be 0. Now, I need to graph these points. Each of these corresponds to a point. 0, 12. 1, 9. 2, 6. 3, 3. And 4, 0. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my coordinate plane and I'm going to plot them. 0, 12. So let's see where that's going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Notice I don't have 12. So what should I count by? 2s. Sounds great. So it's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 0, 12. Right there. 1, 9. 2, 6. 3, 3. 4, 0. Now, this should be a line. Does that look like a line? Yeah. And I can connect them. Hello? Yes. Sure. Hi. What did you do? Yeah, I want to see you in the office. Fantastic. And then I just connect them from start to finish there. Because it's continuous. Maybe your sit doesn't, encompass 3 ounces. All right, you guys try this one. Try creating the graph for the temperature equals 19 M plus 65. All right, where M stands for minutes. Okay, identify the dependent and independent variables. And then try and answer these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it does. Where was this trick when I was trying to calculate? You got it? All right, let's look at this. Kevin. Kevin,
Yeah.
what's the independent variable?
Minutes.
Minutes, very good. Which means the dependent is degrees. Now, I created my table. I just went from 0 to 6. Okay. B says a recipe calls for an oven temperature of 350 degrees. Describe the domain in range of the function. Well, I can't answer that just yet, right? I don't know enough about this. So I'm going to create my table, and I'm going to see what happens. So 0, if I plug in 0, I have 19 times 0 plus 65. That equals 65. 19 times 1 plus 65, that's what? 84. 19 times 2 plus 65, that's 103. 19 times 3 plus 65, that's 122. 19 times 4 plus 65, that's what? 141. Am I right? Am I doing good so far? 19 times 5 plus 65, that's going to be 160. 19 times 6 plus 65, that equals 179. Wow. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 blocks. What do I count by? 20s? Count by 20s. Right? So, I don't know. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. All right. So at 0, I'm at 65. It's going to be right about here. 1, I'm at 84. 2, I'm at 103. 3, I'm at 122. 4, I'm at 141. 5, 160. And 6, 179. Does everybody's graph kind of look like that? Right? Now, the question really becomes, a recipe calls for a temperature of 350. Now, if you have a graphing calculator, this is how you do it. Let's go to the table. Now, which one is talking about temperature? Is it the X column or the Y? So if I'm looking for when Y is 350, I just keep scrolling to when I find Y is 350. So everybody see how I found it? The answer is 15. But I don't have that calculator. So here's how I do it. Ready, Neve? So if my temperature is 350, that's T. So 350 equals 19M plus 65. And now I have to solve this equation. All right. If you don't have the graphing calculator in the scrolling process, you're going to have to substitute it and go from there. AJ, you okay with that? Sure? You lying to me? It's never getting a lot.
So, what did you decide to do 6
You could have done 5.
Really?
Yeah, you could have done 7. You could have done, you have to do, for right now, you have to do at least like 5. Okay? So I just should, so you could have done 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 points. And then just call it a day. Okay? But I just decided to go to 6 because when I made my table, I had a lot of space at the bottom, so I just kept going. That's really it. Sorry, there's not more of a definitive answer.
No.
All right, but that's all the work for this problem. Let's go to the next page. All right. There are 2 here, 1 and 2. I want you guys to do them on your own, 1 and 2. Drew, got it? 1 and 2. Creating tables. Money and DVDs. Can't say it smells pretty good. It's like floral.
Does it even smell bad?
Not out of 1 minute. That one nostril is smelling. Me? No, I used to give up the tape now, so I smashed my face in that. It was broken straight across. Yeah, it was like I got up and it was like,
Did you win?
it was in practice.
No, it's not.
Did you remember the person that did it?
Yeah, DJs.
Wait, he's my neighbor.
Dean?
Yeah.
Dean, like, this one.
It's really funny. Like, that is my neighbor. I'm not gonna do it.
Here you go. I literally called my dad. I was like, you make an appointment for the doctor as well. Real minutes. Can you come get you? I said, I don't care. I had like a celebrated that night.
Yes. Hi. Anyway,
Okay, you all done?
definitely not.
All now. All right, this is nuts. Thanks for your help today. Yeah.
We're gonna have a good weekend.
All right. I know you guys aren't done, but I want to go over this one. Okay. says the linear function m equals 50 minus 9d represents the amount of money, m in dollars, you have after buying d DVDs. Okay? So let's talk about this. And I'm going to pick on, who's here? Delaney? Delaney?
Yeah.
Delaney. All right, cool. Let me ask you this. Is the domain discrete or continuous?
Uh,
Do you think it's going
I
to be
don't know.
smooth or it's going to be broken up? What do you think? Take a guess.
Discrete.
Yeah, very good. It's going to be discrete. And here's why, Delaney. Because you cannot buy half a DVD. You either buy the DVD or you don't. Whereas like temperature, it was smooth because we would gradually increase. You could have half a degree or you could have a quarter of a degree. You just don't go from 200 degrees to 350 degrees. You have to hit every number in between. But with a DVD, you either buy it or you don't. So here it is discrete. Because you either buy the DVD or you don't. All right. So we're going to make a table. And it was D for DVDs and M for money. All right. And Sophie, this time I just went 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because that's what my table has. Now, if I buy 0 DVDs, well, 50 minus 9 times 0, that's, $50. So I have my $50. If I buy 1 DVD, I'd have $41. 2, I would have 32. 3, I would have 23. And if I bought 4, I would have $14. Now, how does this look? Well, it already labeled this for me, so this is going to be my DVDs on bottom. And my money on the side. So I'd be at 0 and 50. 0 and 50, so it's it'd be right here. 0 and 50. 1 and 41, so I'm going to be right there. 2 and 32, I'm going to be right about there. 3 and 23 would be like right here. And 4 and 14, that's going to be like right there. Now, this is when I get tricky. I don't connect them. Remember the last ones I connected them? This one I don't. All right? I don't connect it. It's just a set of dots. Okay? So remember, think of the temperature. The temperature gradually increased. That's why I connected them. Okay? The drinking of fluid ounces. Okay? You don't have to drink 3 ounces every time. You can drink like half an ounce, a quarter of an ounce. You could have like a little pipette drop. You could have whatever amount of the fluid you want. But here it's either you bought it or you didn't. It's finite. Okay? So it's just a set of tables. Now, what's the maximum number of DVDs I could buy? Yep. 5. Okay? And at 5, I would have $5 left. Okay? Now, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could do you could set this equal to like 0, and you could see how many DVDs you could buy. Okay, or you could complete the graph until like you don't have $9 to buy a DVD. At 14, I have one more like DVD I could buy. If I subtract 9 from that, I'm left with 5. After that, you couldn't do it. So what is my domain of this function? It would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my range would be 50, 41, 32, 23, 14, and 5. Okay? Any questions? All right, your asynchronous work. Watch this, ready? It's going to be the homework that you would have to complete tonight. You like that? So I'm going to put that up under the asynchronous work. All right, you guys have a great weekend.